That's a new one, y'all. I think one of the babies are laying. That's not a color I've seen before. I'm excited. Yeah, that's a new color. I'm excited. They clearly haven't figured out where to lay. They've been down there dust bathing all day, and so I saw that. Totally off the script of how this video was supposed to start, but anywho. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia, and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space in my backyard. So I went to take those eggs in the house. I'm so excited to know that one of the babies are finally laying. But guess what we're gonna do tonight? We're gonna do a garden tour. It is probably gonna be the last garden tour that's all summer. I just finished starting my seeds in the house. I did record it. I have another video that I'm recording right now that should be posted Wednesday. The things that I'm doing to get ready for fall, you're gonna see some of that tonight because it's still all summer, but I'm getting prepared for fall. So the first thing that I want to point out that I'm very excited about is, if you remember, all of the peppers on this side were the peppers that were super stunted in the garden bed right here. So they look amazing now. This is a shishito pepper. It is struggling to get, together, but I have harvested some shishito peppers, and you can see there's some on here. But all of these are the peppers that were in the beds that were struggling. Like, look how big that thing is. So it is something about the beds. Just not sure what it is. Before I plant out for fall, I'm gonna go through these beds with the fork and kind of loosen them up, because I'm thinking maybe it's a little bit of compaction. I'm also going to put some of the composted chicken bedding in here, like the stuff that's in the run. I'm gonna put it in the beds and hopefully it will help to kind of amend it, also help it to hold a little bit of water. But also what I'm gonna do to get ready for fall are these last 3 peppers that's in this bed. I'm gonna put them in a bag. So sometime this week, I'm gonna pull these out and I'm gonna transplant them to a bag. I always say it, we have a long growing season here. So I can transplant these into a bag, those ones over there, and they will grow for me and I will get production. And I'm sure it's gonna be much better production than what I'm getting while they're in this garden bed. But I will say they are producing. They're just not producing like the ones that are back here in the bags. And so I wanna move them, and I'm gonna get them into bags before this week is over. But just to show you, like, yeah, this is a pepper plant. Of course it's a pepper plant, and that one fell off. It's a jalapeno plant. I think this is a Jimmy Nardello right here, and we have one on there. And then over in the corner, it's a really small one. And that's another jalapeno as well. But we're gonna move them this week because I kind of need to start clearing these beds anyway, get them amended so that we can start planting for fall. Look at this pretty thing right here. It's a dahlia. It popped up last week. It's beautiful. It's about to come to the end of its life. It's got bugs all in it, but it's absolutely beautiful, y'all. And there's another one about to open too, so I'm very excited. They are beautiful. And I planted that from seed. So I know a lot of people think the only way, exactly what is that in my hair? It's a leaf. I must have walked under a trellis. But what I was saying is, I know a lot of people think that you can only plant dahlias from the tubers. That's not true. I've only ever planted my dahlias from seeds. So there's a place called Cozy Town. It's C-O-S-E-Y Town. She is over on Instagram, and that's where I get my seeds from. She does tubers too, but I always do seeds, and I absolutely love it from seeds. And if you plant them from seeds, they will make tubers. So just in case you want to try it from seed, or you didn't know you could do it from seed, you can, and you'll get tubers from that seed. Another pretty exciting thing that happened this week is I'm getting trombosino squash. Absolutely love them. I think they're cool to grow. The taste is okay. There's another one right up here that's starting to grow. The loofah are finally making an appearance. They are making an appearance, y'all. I'm excited. There's 4 so far that I've seen. And if you were here last year, you remember that my loofahs took forever to start growing. And so this year I was much more calmer because I knew that it was probably gonna be a while before I saw them. And they did not disappoint. They have shown up. I'm excited. All right, the bed beside, you know, when you first come in, this trellis, it looks pretty bad. The marigolds are getting bigger though. Like, I'm excited about that because, you know, they've been tiny all year long. This is a marigold seed pod. I could take that in the house, let it dry, and then I'll have marigold seeds. Probably not going to at this moment. Before the season ends, I will definitely grab them. This one is a better option to take in the house right now because it's already dry. And you just open it, and you see that? Those are the marigold seeds. This is when you know your garden is starting to come to an end. I'm just joking. But yeah, when they dry, those are marigold seeds, y'all. Maybe we'll get some volunteers next year. These are the bush beans that we planted at the beginning of the season. They will honestly probably come out sometime this week too. They are still producing. Small, but they are still producing beans. But they'll probably come out. There's a little bit of basil in here, and I can take off the top right at a node. And right there's basil I could take in the house and dry. But see those 2 nodes right there, those 2 leaves, it's really 4. They'll grow another stem, and then this plant will get bigger, more bushier. Same thing here. I could take this top off, take that in the house and use it, or I could give it to the chickens. Yeah, right there. And that plant will still make more stems. Have really grown to love basil. I use it in tea, hot tea. I'll let it cool and use it in cool tea. It's very delicious. I no joke, it's very delicious. Here's another one we could do the same thing to, and it'll bush out. You know, we're coming to the end of the season. You want to be able to save your herbs and save your things for when, you know, it gets cold outside. And when you can't garden anymore, well, you can't garden the good stuff, or what everybody says is the good stuff. So listen, I love kale, I love collards. Just recently, since I've started gardening, I love those things. And so I look forward to fall. Fall is also a cooler time. It's an easier time to garden. So I'm ready for fall. I just started my seeds because it's still gonna be like really hot here until the middle of September. So yeah, but yeah, if you have basil, start harvesting it. So a thing I tried today, so I did a thing. I pulled out all the tomatoes that were pretty bad. Like, even if you look over there, like, I pulled them out. But what I did was I took the top of them that's, you know, was gonna grow some more, give me more, and I put them in the bags. So we'll follow that. If you're not new here, you know I do things like that. So we're gonna see what happens throughout these next, what, like 60-70 days to see if we get, you know, another harvest of tomatoes off of them. If we did, that would be amazing because, like I said, well, you probably saw in the video last week, I got a food meal, and that makes it so much easier to process tomatoes. I'm hopeful that I get more tomatoes. At first, I was ready for the tomatoes to go, if I'm honest. But now I'm like, that's gonna be quick and easy. The food meal is from Vivor, and I'll link it for you in case you're interested. I'll also link the video where I used it. Very easy. I used it yesterday, made more sauce, and I used that to make dinner last night. Like, it's a good thing to have. I'm not telling anybody to buy it, but like, I'm very happy. It's one of those things I didn't know I needed, and then I got it. And now I know I needed it. So this bed behind me always ends up being my favorite. It does amazingly, like every year. Now I will tell you, the beds over there, the 2 cinder blocks beds over there, I started when I had first started gardening, and I just threw like some cheap soil in it. So I am really having to work on that soil. This bed had good soil in it. I think it has a lot of black cow. It started out with a lot of black cow, but it is always a bed full of things. And so when I say full of things, this is calendula that I have been harvesting off all year. Just want to show you the seeds are in there. I could take this in the house. You see the little green, these right here? Those are the seeds. Take it in the house, let it dry, and I'll have seeds. But instead, I'm gonna throw this back into the bed and maybe we'll have volunteers. You have basil right there, a nice bush of basil. You have marigolds down here. These ones are just getting started. I don't know why it took so long. You have more basil right here. You have pepper plants growing in here, and that one we can take. Well, it's got a little green, we'll leave it. You have another pepper plant right here. And so these are the same peppers planted the same time as the ones in the other bed, just didn't do well in the other beds because I think I really have to work on the soil. This is a purple basil. It's turning green. You all left comments on why. They were mixed reviews. Some people said it was too much sun. Some people said it wasn't enough sun. So I'm just leaving it. It's basil nonetheless because I honestly have no idea why it's turning green. You have another huge marigold bush that has a basil behind it that's trying to flower. So we'll go ahead and take that. Then there are some peppers down here. This is not a habanada. So they are starting to produce down here. There's more basil right here that we probably need to go ahead and take the tops of because they're looking like they may want to flower. There's another pepper plant in here and more marigolds, dahlia back there I just showed you, and then the cucumbers are also growing in this bed. And so I've gotten a lot of cucumbers and there's a bunch more still trying to grow. And lucky for me, they have not turned bitter yet. I am very surprised that they haven't turned bitter yet. But yeah, there's cucumbers growing all in here too. And that's all growing in the same cinder block bed. Again, I definitely think it's because of the soil that I used to start it, but that's why I'm gonna add some of the chicken bedding from the run in here when I start to clean them out and into that one. I think it would help, I really do. I use like the cheapest Lowe's soil I could find. It was like the Lowe's brand, I think. It doesn't stop my fall vegetables, but my summer vegetables, they don't really love it. I think I told you all that I had uncovered the blueberry bushes. There were no more blueberries on them, not that we were gonna eat, so we shared it with the birds, so they're uncovered now. They'll be uncovered until next summer when the birds try to start eating them. Over here, I also threw in some of the tops and suckers from tomatoes. Right over there, we got a volunteer basil, so I left that in the bag, but I also put a tomato in the bag with it. I cleaned out this bed yesterday because the strawberries were taking over. And I ended up with a huge spider on me. I did not kill him. I definitely swatted him hard. But he's back and I see him with his web. And I'm happy about that because, you know, he'll keep the bugs down. I just don't want him on me. Over here as well, we emptied out these bags. I need to take down the string, but we didn't plant anything because these amazing sweet potatoes would shade them. But like, I'm so excited about the sweet potatoes. I'm hopeful for a very, very good sweet potato harvest this year. I had a decent one last year, but I'm hoping with them in this bed, with, you know, decent soil, more space to grow down, that I'm gonna get a really good sweet potato harvest. My daughter loves sweet potatoes. Beside the sweet potatoes is the lemon balm, and it is growing much better since I moved it out of the shade. It was growing fine in the shade, but like it's leaps and bounds over here now. This is a shady spot, but not nearly as shady as over here. And then we have some comfrey that I have been saying for probably a year now that I need to put in the ground, and I just haven't. Recently, I've had a huge ant issue. Can y'all see them? A lot of ants. They're on the loofah too. But of course, if you're not new here, you know I'm not gonna do anything about it. It's just who I am. I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm gonna put this little piece of basil down. Just kick my wine over. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate. So right beside the sweet potato bed is the mint. So it's not looking the best, but I'm sure if I were to harvest it, which I probably will, it would start to grow a little bit better. Over there is a ginger mint growing amazingly, and I'm not going to use it because I did not like it. I did not like it at all. So we won't be using that. My daughter might like it though. Maybe I should try it for her. I didn't care for it. The hyssop was like a bee magnet this year. From what I hear, I should have used the flowers. I did not. I just let the bees stay on it. Like, they were always over here. It was pretty awesome. This marshmallow has stopped flowering, but what I'm noticing is that just like basil, they have these little spots where new like leaves are coming in. So I'm probably gonna cut this whole top part where it flowered and see if I can get more. The feverfew is starting to flower again, and you can use the flowers and the leaves of the feverfew. From what I've read, I've never actually used them. I did preserve them, I dried them, just haven't used them. But this winter, I'm definitely planning to learn how to use feverfew. This little spot is looking pretty good, if I'm honest. I'm loving it. So do you remember the sucker we put in? Look at that. I'm assuming it was a black beauty. And then if you go over here, look how tall that thing is. That's a sucker. That is a sucker that we planted. And so I think you can understand why I planted the other suckers, because that one is doing amazing. And the other one that we had planted right here, that one did good too. I got a nice little harvest off of it. So I'm hopeful that these suckers will do the same. I'm trying to keep them as moist as possible, because when you root them in water, that they're in water and they root really well. So I'm hoping that if I keep them moist, right now they're looking awful. I will not lie. The transplant shock is trash. But I'm hoping if I keep them moist enough, they'll go ahead and root, and we will have a second round of tomatoes. My camera is not liking the heat. So while I took a break, I looked up how many days to my first frost date. My first frost date should be November the 1st. Could waver a little bit, could be earlier, could be later. But if I go with November the 1st, I still have 80 days to grow the vegetables that's out here. And so with that being said, I am probably going to grow more beans. Hold please. My stepfather's here to fix that light in my kitchen. What were we talking about? All right, let's see. We were talking about, that I can replant things. So I have 80 days left. So if there are things that take less than 80 days, I can replant them. Because I'm in such a small space and I want to grow a full fall garden, I probably won't do that. Maybe some beans. I'm not gonna replant like cucumbers or anything because I don't want to. Okay, so down here where the artichokes are, they're looking pretty bad, but we'll see if they come back next year. I also threw in some tomato suckers and tops because I do not think I'm gonna get my delicata squash this year. The other squash that I planted looks pretty bad also. So pivoting to something else, we are going to try to grow those tomatoes up that trellis. And then I can still plant my fall things because the tomatoes will be going up the trellis and I still have space. So pretty excited about that. Another thing is I took out all of these tomatoes, took off all the string because I'm gonna plant my potatoes in these bags. Those are the only empty ones I have, I think. I'm gonna refill this because I've been using some of that to cover the roots of these peppers. Those are all of the peppers that's been in bags and they are looking amazing. We got banana peppers. We got poblano peppers. We got cayenne peppers, y'all. We have habanadas. We have shishito. We have more habanadas. I got more wine. We have jalapenos over here. Jimmy Nardellos. And I don't know what this is because it's not producing right now. But actually, I do know what it is. It is a dirty tag. I have no idea. Oh, that's a Jimmy Nardello. By the way, I wanted to show you all the ginger. It is doing amazing. I'm gonna show you also the asparagus string broke. So it's taking over this walkway again. So I'm gonna have to string that back up. But look at the ginger, y'all. It's growing amazingly. So I have one in this bag and then one over here in this bag, and they're doing really good. I'm pretty excited about that. Also, the roselle. I'm getting nice roselle. Gotta learn how to use it. It's a beautiful plant though. Like, even if I don't use it this year, I'll grow it again next year. Beautiful plant, and I'll do my best to try to learn how to use it. So another thing that I'm super excited about, finally, we're getting cantaloupe that looks like it may have been pollinated, y'all. My daughter's gonna be excited about that. Oh, and the blue butterfly flower. That has started to bloom too. Look how pretty. I've had a few bloom, like that one bloomed and died. But they're blooming. And if you remember, that plant was covered under things for a good portion of the summer. And once I started pulling things out, you know, it started growing. So I'm excited. Y'all always ask me how I keep the mosquitoes off of me. I do not. I do not. Some days they bother me, some days they don't. Tonight they are bothering me. Also, I'm sure there's a lot of nature sounds. I used a different mic tonight because of the nature sounds. I'm hopeful it is working because it is very loud out here. So right here, the borage, remember there was a huge borage here? It clearly went to seed. Look at all those little baby borages. I'm gonna leave them until it's time for me to plant. I am going to build this bed up a little more with some compost, probably the chicken bedding, because it's pretty low. Right beside it are some pepper plants that are thriving over here, and I'm not gonna mess with them. Like over here is a cayenne long with a lot of peppers on it, just waiting for them to ripen. Right here I think is a golden Marconi, but I've harvested off of it already. And it hasn't given me another one. We pulled out the watermelon. We're gonna try it again next year, y'all. We still gonna try it again, but it was all in the way. There was one tiny watermelon on it that the maggots was eating from the bottom. So I gave that to the chickens today. They enjoyed that plant, and we're gonna try again next year. By the way, look what popped up. It's some type of brassica. Just popped up, volunteered itself. I'm gonna leave it. I would imagine it's a cabbage. If you remember, we had a cabbage right here last year that went to seed. So I think it's a cabbage. I'm gonna leave it and see what happens. The basil in this bed is looking good. That Swiss chard from fall of last year is still growing. Can't say what it tastes like because we haven't eaten it in quite some time. But I'm gonna leave it because if it will grow again through fall, that's one plant. I don't have to worry about planting or seeding. And then here's the Swiss chard that we moved early in the year. And so it's still living too, and I'm gonna leave it. I'm just gonna leave it. The beans on this is looking good. They're still growing, producing flowers. The sweet potatoes back here are looking good. That's all in one bed. I found the sweet spot on sweet potato and bean. Beans like a lot of water because they are, you know, shallow rooted. Sweet potatoes like a lot of water. They're growing amazingly together over here. You see that? I'm pretty excited about that. The roselle in the back of this bed is looking amazing. Pretty plant, no roselle on it. I'm thinking though that roselle likes light because the one that's in a lot of sun is blooming perfectly. These are growing nicely, but they're not giving me any roselle. I'm still gonna leave them just because they're a pretty plant. Down here we took out the tomatoes. I am thinking I'm gonna put carrots in these bags because they are shaded, and carrots like some shade, especially when it's hot. So I think they'll do fine back here. I'm gonna put some carrots in those bags. Over here are the tomatoes that we got out of the compost pile. Looking good. We have tomatoes on them, and they were apparently some type of paste tomato. So that's cool. I can make some more tomato sauce, and so they're all growing really well. Have some flowers on them, so I'm excited about that. Well, at least that plant is a paste. We have flowers on these. We're waiting to see what that was. Flowers on here too. The bean trellis is looking good. It's getting dark out here, y'all, but the bean trellis is looking good. Still producing beans. I harvested from those earlier today. We still have a dahlia trying to make its way into the world over here. This one has bloomed and has gone. So we're gonna go ahead and, oh my God, it's so many mosquitoes. Deadhead that. Oh. And I need to see if there's seeds in here. It was planted from a seed, but I don't know if there's any seeds in there. It's not dry either, so. Anyway, these are the other 2 tomatoes we got out of the compost pile. Just growing beautiful tomatoes. Well, beautiful leaves right now, but they do have flowers on them. And then over here are our Amish paste, and they have a few left. As soon as those few ripen, I'm gonna pull these out too. The flower bed, y'all. we just gonna skip the flower bed, although we got some zinnias doing well. Snapdragons, not so much, but I just planted more seeds. But yeah, the flower bed is looking crazy. Those moms, they coming out. They taking up too much space. I may put them in the front yard though, because the mums at that end, they're shaded, which is why they're not flowering, but they have pretty foliage. So instead of like getting rid of them, I am definitely gonna move them. We're gonna do a complete redo of that bed. I started more snapdragons for the fall, but then in the summer we're gonna do something completely different. Let's take a quick look at the orchard. We're actually gonna go in the orchard tonight, y'all, and then I'm gonna let you go because it's getting dark out here. Within the next week, we're gonna cut all of the echinacea heads off, and hopefully they'll sprout, they'll bloom for us one more time. The the daisy is gone. I think I'm gonna have to replant this. It is good and dead. The roses are still blooming, so that's nice. The raspberry bush is still being the raspberry bush, but has raspberries on it, y'all. I'm excited about that. So we're gonna slide through here as much as we can. The raspberry bush is kind of trying to take over, which it will do, but that oregano is looking good. Small leaves, but still can be harvested, and so I will sooner or later. Comfrey. Sage looking good again. Probably time to start harvesting it again. The one on this side, the same. Lots of spider webs over here. Comfrey. All the way down the line. And this oregano bush is big, huge again, needs to be harvested. I use thyme. My daughter's not feeling good, so I've had her drinking thyme tea and mint, and it's been working a little bit for her. And then rosemary over there. We have not harvested the rosemary at all. I'm trying to give it time to get established, but it's looking good. And then all that lavender we planted is getting established. There's a little basil over here. Not sure why I planted it over here. That apple tree still looks bad. It is rust, I'm aware. I have not done anything to it. The other one looks fine. That's interesting. I just touched the other tree in this one, so tomorrow it probably won't be. Well, I waited very late to start this video, and it is getting dark, but I still hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in the garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.